Oh, you're gonna fight me? Oh, what? Oh, you crazy little bird. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. I'm Ben, and today we are out testing the Ninja here to see what type of moves she's got. We will do some suspension testing. Whoa! I'll tell you how the big, long banana seat feels after quite a few miles. We will see what we can get out of the dual batteries here, totaling 30 amp hours for range. And I will let you know whether or not this is a bike that I think is worth purchasing. So let's see what this thing's got. Whoa! So I am 5'10" with a 31-inch inseam height, and I weigh about 155 pounds. With my stature and weight on the seat and everything here, I'm pretty much tiptoeing, more or less. I could easily get 1 foot to the ground solid if I kind of shift off to the side. I would say that the bike seems like it fits me pretty well. Now, without the ability to raise or lower the seat, we're pretty much stuck with this pedal stroke. And to be honest, it's not anything that I would be able to put a whole lot of power down with. Of course, you can just stand up a little bit to get some extra power down if you really need to. I think in general, most people buy these as more of cruisers rather than something that you're gonna run around and pedal and try to get exercise on. So I think that's just fine. The BMX style handlebars have quite the rise to them. They are fairly swept back, but not so much so that I think it'll be a problem for off-road riding. Should just provide some nice ergonomic comfort. Grips are a rubbery ergonomic style that do seem to twist a little bit. You could pull them off and spray some glue or hairspray in there. Got the turn signal selector here as well as the In the center, we've got our really nice looking display. On the right side here, we've got a quarter twist throttle with another rubbery ergonomic half grip, a 7-speed Shimano shifter, which is pretty common. Hydraulic brake levers on both sides, hydraulic calipers, and 180 millimeter rotors. Essentially the same setup on the rear here, 48 volt, 750 watt motor, knobby Chaoyang 20x4 tires, plastic fenders front and back, taillight, decent sized chain ring, which is driving our 7-speed Shimano cassette back here with Shimano derailleur. Dual coilover suspension in the rear, and it does seem like there is some amount of adjustment here. You can tell by the threaded portion just inside of the spring here that if we wanted to, we could drive these adjusters down, and that would add some preload, meaning that you'd be able to carry a little bit more weight. For our suspension up front, we've got dual crown forks that don't seem to have any adjustments at all. Motorcycle style headlight that is fairly bright and has a decent pattern. We do have 2 batteries on this bike, and it appears that there's some wiring running to this back one here as well as the front. So we should be able to get some monster range out of this thing. The long banana style seat definitely is pretty firm. Looks like both batteries do have a readout for us. However, you've got to have them switched on. That one says full. That one also says full, but either way, I'm gonna plug both of these in with the 2 chargers that they gave us, get them all charged up to full. And speaking of charging, if you look up underneath your display here, we've actually got a little port for a USB, so you can charge your phone while you're riding. So, because we've got 2 batteries here totaling 30 amp hours, I figured we might as well start a little bit farther away from my trails than usual. We've got 6 miles on already, and it's going to be a pretty long day. The manufacturer claims that this will get anywhere from 80 to 120 miles. I'll be doing a lot of throttle today. We'll be doing a lot of high-speed riding and a lot of pretty intense off-road riding, so should be a pretty good test of that. I would assume that the numbers are going to be skewed because the manufacturers usually are testing or interpolating data from a flat, straight surface, or as I like to confuse it, strat surface. So things are going to be a little bit different, but we will hopefully be able to give you guys a good idea of what a really hard ride would get you on this bike. So we'll start off just under my own power here on the first gear on the Shimano 7-speed, 0 for the pedal assist level, meaning the 750 watt motor around back is doing absolutely nothing. You can see that by looking at the current. And this might look a little funny to you guys. It looks totally fine and good to me. A little dim, but still definitely visible. So pedaling along like this, really not too bad. I mean, it's not a regular bicycle. There's definitely some weight there, and it's not something that I would purposefully go out and pedal like this because, of course, we've got the pedal assist. So we'll bump it up to pedal assist level 1. Definitely a noticeable increase. Probably gonna have to shift into second. Nice cadence, I would say. Good cruising speed, but we can go a heck of a lot faster than that. So we're at 10.8, bump it up to 2. Definitely an increase. And this thing does seem to have some good pull to it. Some good torque. I'm in 5th gear already to kind of keep up at a rather mellow pace. 15 miles an hour. Bump it up to pedal assist 3. Closing in on 20 almost. 19. Pedal assist 4. Now we're cruising. Bottomed out on the 7-speed shifter. Pretty much ghost pedaling unless I really want to. I guess it's not too bad. No, it's okay. A little bit faster than I was pedaling, but a good pace to get some exercise, I would say. Doing about 25 with a little help from me. 14 on the current meter. Bump it up to 15. Current increases to 24-ish, bouncing around. Definitely a bit of a fast pace for pedaling, but I guess if you really want to get going, this will certainly get your heart pumping. And we are doing, I saw 28 at one point. Downhill on the way here. I think I actually saw 31, but I would assume that was gravity helping me out. But this thing should get you right around 28. Pedaling it, and I mean, if I was in a hurry, I would pedal this fast, but honestly, I would probably just end up ghost pedaling this. Could easily switch it down to gear. Look at them flowers. Beautiful day for a ride. Motorcycle bro, too cool to wave. That's fine, your loss. Yeah, pedal assist 4 and gear 7 is a fairly comfortable pace, and I think something that I could see myself doing. The seat on here, it seems like maybe it's breaking in a little bit. I guess maybe it's just a bit of a shock. And I do spend a lot of time on bicycle and motorcycle seats, so I guess maybe I'm just a little sore, but soft, comfy, plush, cushiony are all words that I would not use to describe this seat. It's also kind of angled down just a tad, and there's kind of a step in the seat too, and I kind of find myself wanting to sit right on that step, which isn't exactly great. Sitting way far forward on the seat where you're sort of intended to, I suppose it does work okay. It's not really where I want to be, but it definitely works, and it's probably just my personal preference, and maybe I just like being a little bit more stretched and not so over the pedals, but I mean, it definitely works. If I wanted to scoot way far in the back seat, it seems a little bit more cushy back there, but my legs are actually almost a little bit too short to really pedal. I shouldn't say that. I guess it works. They feel a little more stretched than I would like, but not the worst. Put her all the way back up to 5. Probably just go to throttle, and I'll probably just be on the throttle most of the time. 29? What do you mean 29? With the throttle? What? And one thing I should mention about the dual batteries, they are both turned on, and I didn't see anything that said you weren't supposed to do that. It seems like it works fine, so I'm gonna go ahead and assume that that's okay. You are able to click one of those off though, so in theory you could run one completely down and then pop over to the second one. It's just as easy as flicking the little red switch. Put our turn signal on here and start the gravel portion of the test ride. And actually, I suppose before we do that, in the broad day sunlight here, can I see that signal light? I definitely can. Would I notice it? I don't know. I wouldn't bet my life on it, but it's actually a lot brighter than I thought it would be. We do, of course, have to remember to cancel it, which if you're only ever in a cage on the road, you are maybe going to have a hard time remembering that, and that's definitely a mistake you don't want to make. But the feature, I think, definitely is cool. Do we test the horn? It's alright, comes out of the headlight, I believe. So let's talk a bit about the suspension, and you hopefully can see the front bouncing around a bit there. Oh boy, that's a big bump. So things are a little stiff, which if you're on the heavier side is a good thing. At 155 pounds, I think maybe things could be a little bit more plush, but maybe not. I mean, the normal bumps here, not the giant potholes, really aren't bad, and I have ridden bikes out here that are hardtails, which definitely will wear you out. There are certain things that I like more about a hardtail, as far as control and kind of being able to feel the ground, but they really will wear you down pretty quick, where even if this isn't super comfy and plush and doesn't ride like a Cadillac, that doesn't mean that it's not still absorbing some of the bumps and allowing you to basically ride longer and get less fatigued. So that's definitely a good thing. Woo! Definitely springy enough to get it up in the air. Oh, where are you guys going? Ooh, pileated woodpecker. Those are big birds. Ugh. The eagle of the woodpecker world. Oh! The bald eagle of the woodpecker world. The red-headed stepchild of the eagle. Oh my goodness, what happened? Oh, we lost the camera. I knew that plastic thing wasn't going to hang on. Well, good thing we got two. Yeah, what, one ride out of that? So I need a metal one. Scratch that up. A bit. Ooh, it'll wheelie, look at that! No problem. Whoa! So now we're at the old abandoned airstrip, which is actually just an old abandoned road. We will do our 0 to top speed run, and we'll check the 0 to 25 time against all the other bikes that I've tested. As usual, we will start off on gear 1 on the Shimano shifter. I will prime the pedal here. We'll use the throttle starting off on pedal assist level 5. We'll go through the gears and we'll just see what we can get out of this thing. Ready, go. $25, $27, $28. Oh, yeah, the limiting factor on the brakes, I think, are the tires, which is a good thing. We would want to see that. Whoa, yeah, this thing definitely has some wheelie potential. And I think maybe that, whoa, front end is bottoming. Yeah, it does. So if you're over the front wheel, that'll be a problem. Otherwise, whoa, probably won't be. Definitely a pretty light bike and easy to get off the ground if you know how to bunny hop. Whoa! If you don't, you might end up in the woods. Definitely good on 2-track here. We'll check the turning radius. With the dual crown fork, that can be a bit of a problem. But no, we make it around, no problem at all. Let's try a bit of single track here. Of course, these are really meant for mountain bikes, but with full suspension, should be doable. The smaller tires definitely can have a bit harder of a time making it over obstacles because you just have less mechanical advantage to get sort of up and over whatever it is that you're going over. Woo! But the little tires definitely make it easier to start pedaling, especially if you're doing it under your own power. And this ought to be interesting on this one. Ooh! Up, up, up. So the width of the tires definitely helps out with the big rocks and stuff. The overall geometry of the bike and the sort of short wheelbase, maybe not the greatest. And this is really more of like a BMX or even like I guess they call it like a moped style. So obviously not intended for this sort of thing, but I doubt that anybody that buys a bike like this isn't gonna want to take it off-road once in a while. And we've got some suspension, so should make things a little bit more comfy, of course, than, like I said, a hardtail. But, well, ooh, on a lot of these obstacles, it's just a little bit too much for the type of suspension that this has. It's not really intended to be, rattled around quite this much, but it certainly can do it, and I can't say that I'm not enjoying it. This part's always fun. Ooh. Ooh. I wouldn't expect plush suspension, but I think I would expect some suspension that is not going to bottom too easily, which is definitely a good thing. Suspension in general is meant to keep you comfortable, I think, most of the time, but otherwise, off-road, it has a very important job of keeping you connected to the ground, because as soon as you're not connected to the ground, well, bad things usually happen. So, you kind of have to understand what the bike is meant for and just make sure that whatever your plan for it is kind of at least aligns with what it was designed to do and, of course, what it's capable of. And I would say this is certainly capable of this. I just would plan on standing up if you're going to be taking jumps and riding over giant boulders, which I think is probably something that can be said for every bike. Throttle response is pretty good. Could be a hair faster, but I haven't really been annoyed by it too much yet. Woo! The short wheelbase definitely does make it kind of fun once you get used to it. Standing up and riding is not really bad. It actually works all right. I just don't want to be too far over the front. And on a bike with a short wheelbase, that kind of makes you hover sort of over the pedals, which can be a little tiring on your legs, but honestly isn't bad. I haven't really felt that suspension up front bottom too much, other than when I just land on the front or try to make it bottom out, so that's a good thing. Definitely fun in the high speed area here. Steering is a little quick for this type of stuff where, I mean, it's kind of like threading a needle at 10 miles an hour. Woo! And that needle is bouncing around, so it does make things a little difficult, but definitely something that I think is fun. Let's knock the
pedal assist down to 1 and try to pedal. I could do this. Modulating the brakes to cut the power off when I need to. Yeah, not bad at all. Woo. So one thing I should mention that I'm not a huge fan of for this type of riding, but I actually prefer for kind of road or urban riding, the fact that the pedal assist level and the throttle are linked, meaning it can sort of work as a bit of a cruise control. So I've got the throttle essentially pinned here, but we're only doing less than 10 miles an hour. If I bump the pedal assist level up, we get an increase, and so on, until we're going way too fast for the terrain. Ooh, we're gonna take it easy over the rocks. The reason that I prefer to have the pedal assist level and the throttle not linked for off-road riding is like this is basically because then I can put the pedal assist level at a level that I'm comfortable with the amount of power that it gives me for pedaling through terrain like this, which yeah, even 2 is kind of too much. So I'd like to leave that on 1, but then if I'm climbing a hill or something and don't actually want to pedal, then I can just hammer down on the throttle and it will exceed the speed setting or the pedal assist level setting. Speaking of hills, we are getting ever closer to the big hill climb, which also it sort of turned into me watching the the big dump equipment move trash around, because for some reason that's interesting to me. So stick around for that if that sounds good to you. Ooh, I can definitely tell in comparison to something that was built for this type of riding, I certainly am getting a bit more fatigued, and a lot of that I think has to do with the bouncing around. But on the road, I mean, this thing was definitely a good machine to cruise on, and I'm looking forward to the nice, calm, easy ride home on it, because it is meant, I think, more for cruising, and it's definitely a stylish bike. Whoa! But when I'm not being lazy and up on the pegs, it's actually a lot of fun to carve through these. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I'm just sitting too much. It feels much more capable standing up. Imagine that, standing up for off-road being a useful thing. Oh yeah, this is so much better. Why wasn't I standing before? And really, at my frame size, this actually with the pedals at sort of the 3 and 9 position there, gets me up in the air a bit, keeps the pedals away from the ground, and really with the high-rise BMX bars on here, it actually gives me kind of a nice place to be, honestly, and a nice place to sort of maneuver the bike wherever I need it to be. Yeah, I think I take back what I said. You just can't be lazy and sit down. Actually does a pretty darn good job standing up. I like that the brakes are adjustable. I turned the little Allen fasteners inside of here clockwise in to kind of push them out a bit, so then when I'm using just 2 fingers, I'm not smashing my hand here, and that is absolutely necessary for this type of riding. Definitely. Apparently my mirror needs a little bit of work here. The quarter twist throttle and the rubbery ergonomic grips definitely work well out here. I do like having that little bit of a paddle to kind of rest my palm on. Definitely is nice for standing up. You can kind of put a little bit of weight on them. I think they do move a little bit, but honestly I haven't really had to adjust them at all, so that's a good thing. The quarter twist throttle definitely works. A full twist throttle is nice, but of course then you don't really get the ergonomic grip, which can be a nice thing to have. Yeah, definitely does feel like a BMX bike out here, which if you guys have ever ridden a BMX bike or watched somebody that knows what they're doing on one, they're certainly not sitting down. Apparently I'm just being lazy, and when I'm not, this is a fun bike for this, actually. I like this. As far as traction goes, I got a little bit of tiny bit of loose sand there. Everything, including the sand and all the gravel and rocks and stuff. The fat tires definitely seem to hang on well. I've ridden on these tires quite a bit, or something extremely similar anyways, and the size and the width definitely is a good combination for this style of bike. They certainly seem to have plenty of traction for me. Of course, you still want to make sure you're distributing your weight properly. A lot of times when you have the front end kind of wash out on you, it's because you're not putting a lot of, or enough, weight on it. Oh boy. They're really piling that high. Ooh, a snake. Hey, little guy. Where are you going? You're neat looking. Hey, buddy, what's going on? Out enjoying the sun? Me too. So how are the fenders doing? Looks like we're getting a bit of mud spit up, which of course, you know, it doesn't go all the way to the ground. So on pedal assist level 5 and speed 1 on the Shimano shifter, we'll roll in here and I'll help as needed. Yep, and we're gonna need it. But, man, I mean, it climbs up. I'm putting in a little bit of effort, but honestly, probably less than, I think, the last 26-inch bike that I had out here. That really went pretty smooth, actually. And this is a very, very steep hill. Whew. So, seems like a pretty decent hill climber, actually. Well, looks like we do have a little bit of dirt on the seat as well, probably a bit on my back. A little bit of jump juice never hurt anybody, though. That's not true, maybe it did. Probably has. Hopefully not this dump, though. How about a little bit of extra speed coming in? Yeah, I still need some help. Can I do it sitting? No, requires standing. Pulling the front end up too. Woo! Oh! Oh. What are they up to up there? Moving dirt around. And garbage. Just remember, when you buy all that stuff that has that packaging on it, that's where it's going to spend the next 1,000 years or more. So we've been riding for 14 miles. Voltage shows 48 or 47.9. And we've got 2 bars over half a tank. So let's head to the big jump and see how this thing does there. Then we will continue to monitor voltage on the long ride back. And then at the end, we'll see what we end up with for battery life and range. Alrighty, let's see what this thing can do. The big tabletop. MIDI one, definitely good. Nice smooth landing. Woo! Man, I don't know if it's the short wheelbase or just the suspension on this, but boy does that kick you up in the air. So I just had to stop here to fix the GoPro because apparently I pinched my cable that takes power to the camera from the power bank in my pocket, and while I was switching the cable to something else, I noticed this guy. Just absolutely no fear. Oh, you're gonna fight me? Oh, what? Okay, I'm going. Ah! Oh, you crazy little bird. Woo! All right, so let's see. What do we got here? 17 miles, 1 bar below half a tank, which I think is probably just a little bit of voltage sag since I had it hammered down. The voltage meter shows 47.1. So let's hit the pavement here and see what this thing can get us for some range here. Without pedaling on a flat surface, yeah, this is still doing 28.8. I sort of forgot about the hump in the seat. I don't know if it softened up a bit or if I just got used to it. Bouncing around off-road or just even bouncing around on the gravel, I did find myself wishing that the seat or the suspension was a bit softer. Of course, soft suspension means that you're going to bottom a lot more often. The hydraulic brakes and the motor definitely seem fairly quiet and smooth. No grinding noises or anything like that coming from anywhere. What a beautiful day for a ride. So what do we got here? Looks like 3 bars of battery left, and we're kind of stuck somewhere around the 25 to 27 mark, depending on, I think, what it's probably reading for voltage. At 21 miles, 45 volts-ish while we're on the throttle and pedal assist 5. Current shows between 16, 17, so 19. I gotta say, as much fun as I had testing this thing off-road, cruising around on the pavement is definitely where I think this bike excels. It's just smooth, it's light, it's nimble. It really, I mean, honestly feels incredibly solid for as short of a wheelbase as it is. This thing is super comfortable and solid. I mean, there's no wobble, there's nothing. It just cruises. Beautiful day for a cruise too. Look at it. Birds are chirping. Cows are laying in the sun. Gotta love it. Oh, we got a blinking battery bar. Probably should have headed back sooner. That's gonna be a bit of a pedal up. Good, we got one back. I was hoping for that. 42.2 volts. It really does seem like this thing basically just gives you all the power all the time. It seemed like there've been a few momentary drops, but she's pretty much keeping it at 28 anytime I wanted it to. 33 miles. Pretty darn impressive. Of course, not nearly as impressive as what they claim. That 80 to 120 miles, though, is definitely not including any of the type of riding that I did today. They're assuming that you're on a flat, straight surface with all of the ridiculous hard riding and fast riding that I did today, and the little bit of pedaling that I did, you guys pretty much saw. So for the majority of those miles, it was pulling probably quite a few amps from the batteries, and at that point, I mean, it's really just a mathematical equation. You only have so much gas in the tank or so much juice in the tank. If you're draining it at a certain rate and you're riding it for a certain amount of time, well, batteries are going to empty out. So I would say I'm definitely impressed with this bike overall and the range that it got me. Definitely a fun bike. Certainly, I think a little bit better for cruising than for beating around off-road, but it can definitely do all of it, and I had a darn good time doing it. The only thing that I think that I would change about this bike is the seat. I think if it was a little wider or just a little bit softer, and like I said, it might still break in, I think this bike would be a bit more comfortable. It'd be nice to have suspension adjustments, but I think they do work okay as is. And I shouldn't say that like there aren't any adjustments. Like I showed to begin with, you could definitely add a bit more, well, a lot more preload to this. These are all the way backed off, so that would increase the stiffness of the rear. If you're a bit heavier or you want to put a passenger on the back, then that's definitely a nice option. The front really worked pretty well. I mean, it did bottom a few times, but again, I don't think when it bottomed it was really in its design condition. So all in all, I would say if this is the type of bike you're looking at, I think this is a decent option. Definitely gets you some good range. Seems like a good solid build. Really a pretty neat looking bike, and something that I had a darn good time riding today. So if you guys want to pick one of these up, again, there'll be that affiliate link down in the description that helps me make more videos like this, and I definitely appreciate that. There'll also be the discount codes down there for you, so make sure and check those out. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care, stay safe, stay swanky, get out and enjoy this beautiful world any chance you get. I better pedal this thing back quick before the storm hits. Whoops.